And welcome to the Cardinals Nest. This is the show where we talk St. Mary's University athletics. I'm Dean Beckman, the faculty athletics representative. My co-host for the 2022-23 season is Donny Nadeau, our sports information director, a St. Mary's Hall of Famer. Donny, it's great to be back for another season of the Cardinals Nest. We've got a lot of great guests lined up throughout the year, but it's just good to be back talking St. Mary's athletics.
Yeah, it's really hard to believe that the summer is over and we're back into athletics, but I thought you were going to say for our 20th season, because it's got to be pretty close
it's
to 20
close.
years that we've done this. So
we
I'm
need
excited.
to keep better track.
We've got a great guest to start us off in our brand new season, and that being our brand new volleyball coach. So I'm really looking forward to getting Amber on and kind of talking Cardinal volleyball and just getting the season underway, as most teams have played 2-3 games already this year, and I'm excited for the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too. And we'll talk all of the St. Mary's sports coming up shortly here, at least for the fall season. Before we get to that, though, Donny, this upcoming weekend for St. Mary's, it's a big weekend. We're going to be honoring some of the sports teams, some of the sports athletes at a sort of award ceremony where we look at Team of the Year, Athletes of the Year, we give them academic honors. So it's really a nice way to kind of kick off the new season.
Yeah, it's called the Best in the Nest, and we're excited. We've been doing this for a number of years now, and it is a nice way to kind of honor the accomplishments of the past year. And it's one of those things where you always struggle to find when you should do this. Do you do it at the end of the year? Do you do it at the beginning of the next year? And we've always felt that this way we can have everybody there. If you do it in the springtime, a lot of your spring sports are competing, and it's hard to get those sports there. So hopefully on a Sunday night, everybody's going to be back in town from their competitions and recovering from the Vikings beating the Packers, and we'll just have a great night with some food and some fun, and I know you're going to be emceeing again this year. You kind of just get roped into those emceeing things. Maybe sometimes
it's not really an ask, is it?
No, it's just Dean will do it.
But that's okay, because you know I will, and I'm happy to. So that's great.
Yeah,
so,
it'll be a fun night.
Yeah, so that's this Sunday night, and on next week's show we can talk about some of the award winners and all of that. But first now let's get to some of the teams that have already been in competition for St. Mary's. And Donny, women's soccer is picking up where they left off. They're off to a great start this season already. They're now 2-1 on the season, a tough 1-0 loss on Tuesday, but prior to that, they opened the season with 2 victories, shutout victories.
Yeah, they're playing very well, and I think you really hit it on the head by saying they picked up right where they left off, making the conference playoffs last year, getting to the MIC semifinals. And really, you look back at that game. What an incredible game. They were down 3-0, come storming back to make it 3-2, and then actually had several chances to tie it up. But they ended the season on a great note and really started this year a big 3-0 win over Morris, and then a 2-0 victory over Lawrence. And then, like you said, unfortunately on Tuesday night they took a 1-0 loss to Wartburg in a game that really came down to Wartburg converted their first half penalty kick, and we weren't able to convert a penalty kick in the second half, and really that was the difference in the game. They're going to be very exciting to watch again this year. I'm sure that Coach Rizzo will be the first to admit that he misses Jordan Matthews, their big striker, and he would love to have her in the lineup. But I think right now he's searching for those offensive players that are going to step up and replace her. And right now they've scored 5 goals. They've got 5 goals from 5 different people. So it's good to spread that wealth around, but he's going to need somebody to step up and kind of be that go-to person. Defensively, there's no problem. You've got the reigning Defensive Player of the Year in Alexis Wynn between the pipes, and that's enough said there. So when you've got that, and they're very solid in the back with Sophia O'Neill leading the way, and so it's going to be a great year for them. I think that offensively they're going to just need somebody to be able to step up and fill that role that Jordan had.
I came up to watch last Sunday's game against Lawrence, and that first half it ended 0-0. But St. Mary's dominated that first half and then broke through with 2 goals in the second half.
And that's kind of been their modus operandi right now. Is their first 2 games they've scored 5 goals. All 5 of them have been in the second half. So they're off to a bit of a slow start in games, but maybe it's just a kind of a feeling out process for them as well. You've got a lot of new faces in the lineup, so I think it's going to take a little while to gel And once they do, boy, they get going in that second half, and there's no stopping them.
Yep. Meanwhile, Corbin has the men's team off to an undefeated start. 1 win and 2 ties so far to kick off the season. They won 2-1, and then had a 1-1 tie with Crown or against Aurora, and then a 2-2 tie with Rockford University.
Yeah, great start with the 2-1 win over Crown. Always nice to get started with a win on your home field, and then they go to Illinois and come up with a pair of ties. I'm sure that Coach Bowers would like to have the Rockford tie back. They were up 2-0 in the second half and gave up 2 late goals and settled for a tie. Interesting side note with soccer this year in that during the regular season there is no overtime. So a game that's played to a draw after 90 minutes stays a draw. There won't be any overtime. Once you get into postseason play, then it becomes 2 10-minute overtime periods, no matter what. No golden goal. So technically, you could win an overtime game 4-1. So it's a new wrinkle. It's kind of more modeled after the international play, and it's something the NCAA has instituted for all levels, D1, D2, and D3, and I don't know if Coach Bowers is happy about it right now or not. Maybe he'd want to get that overtime for a chance to win, but that's a new rule, and it is interesting, and I think it's something that's important to note because everybody's kind of waiting for that overtime, and in the regular season there isn't one.
And then I saw some social media posts while they were in Illinois. They went into downtown Chicago and had a river cruise as a team and got to see the city a little bit that way.
Yeah, it's really and we can we'll talk to Amber too about it too. I think early in the season, a road trip, where you're playing 2 games, staying overnight, those things are important. And you have your 2 weeks of preseason where you get some team bonding, but to get away from campus as a group, and that's all it is just your team. I think that's very important for a team, and you get a chance to do some things that otherwise you wouldn't get to do. You may play Rockford, and it might be you go to Rockford, you play, and you come home. So this was a good way for them to get a chance to just kind of be together as a team and enjoy something that isn't necessarily soccer related.
Yeah. Another sport that's off and running, I guess you could say, is cross country, right? The women especially, they've seen a little bit more on the competition side.
Yeah, they both teams competed at the Augustana Invitational, and Emily Kern, who did not run for them last year, really did a nice job and led the way for the women. And then Granton Schneider, Coach Schneider's son, freshman, was the top runner for the 3-man men's team. So good to see them off and running, as you said, and I think that early on, as we always say every year, they gear up for 2 meets out of the whole year, and that's the conference championships and then the NCAA regional. So this is a good start for them, but I'm sure that Coach Schneider is going to be looking for constant improvement as the year progresses leading up to the MIC and to the NCAA.
Before we bring Amber in, one thing I do want to say is that I had a chance when I was up for the soccer game on Sunday. I stopped over and watched the baseball team with their fall practices, and of course softball is starting fall practice as well. And one of the things I noticed as I watched the baseball team practice for fall ball is Nick Winicky. He brings in alumni to sort of help run some of those practices. Justin Weinberg was back for the one that I saw, so it's really nice to involve alumni whenever possible.
Absolutely, and you look at his assistant coach. His assistant coach is Eli Morrison, and Eli played for Nick. So I think Nick is always willing to to bring in maybe an athlete who wants to get into the coaching ranks and kind of get their feet wet as a volunteer assistant here at St. Mary's. And with a team of 40 guys or 50 guys that he has, he can use all the help he can get. And so it's a good way for them to kind of give back to the program, but also a chance to maybe get their feet wet in terms of in terms of just being a coach.
Yep. So as far as women's soccer, men's soccer, and of course we're going to talk volleyball in just a minute, let's look at the upcoming schedule for this week, Donnie.
Yeah, busy week. As we talked, the women's soccer team was at Wartburg to play on Tuesday, and then the men play Ripon tonight, as in Wednesday at home, and then this weekend we've got the cross-country team is at the MIAC Preview, which is hosted by Hamlin in St. Paul, Minnesota on Friday. Volleyball, as we'll talk, they're at Stevens Point for a couple matches against UW Stevens Point, nationally ranked team, which will be a really great test for a coach and the players. And then men's soccer is also in action on Saturday as well at Martin Luther. So busy week. A lot of road matches, a lot of road games, but we're off and running.
Yes, we are. And here joining us now in the studio, I should say, by the way, we are in the Jerry and Pat Pappenfuss Multimedia Lab, which is in Aquinas Hall here on the St. Mary's University campus. And joining us now is our first-year volleyball coach, Amber Zitzow. Amber, thanks for joining us. And welcome to St. Mary's and welcome to the Cardinals Nest.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be the first guest.
I know,
You know,
right?
it's
The
funny,
first guest of the year.
Dean, that you said that she's a first-year coach, but yet
She's not.
we know, but we've had so many conversations in the last month and a half that it feels like she's been here for a long time.
Right.
And Amber, congratulations on a great weekend. Welcome to St. Mary's. And as Dean had mentioned, this isn't your first rodeo. So why don't you kind of talk to us a little bit? Tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into coaching, and where you've been before you got to St. Mary's.
Okay. So I've been involved with volleyball ever since I was in 7th grade. So I played at Dover High School all through my years, and then I went to Winona State and I played there. After I was at Winona State, I got into coaching, and I coached club ball ever since I was, you could say, a junior in high school. And I really loved it and I really enjoyed it. After I was a club coach for many years, I got into the high school coaching, and I assistant coached at many various high schools in southeastern Minnesota. I've been at Wabasha, I was at Rochester Mayo, and then St. Charles High School. And then I went over to RCTC, Rochester Community Technical College, and I was an assistant coach there for 4 years. And then I was the head coach there for the previously 8 seasons, you could say 9, but due to COVID. And then we were very successful there. We had a national championship. We were all conference many years, all Americans. You name it, we had done it. And I wanted to challenge myself, so I went back, got my master's degree during the COVID year, and then last fall season I went to University of Minnesota Morris, where I was the assistant coach there, and we were successful there. And now I'm back into my roots here in southeastern Minnesota as the head volleyball coach at St. Mary's, and I'm just thrilled to be here, and it's been great since.
You know, Donnie, it's a great story, and one of the things that you mentioned, Amber, is when you were an assistant coach at St. Charles, and how things come full circle, right? Because now your assistant coach, Lynn Nelson, was the head coach in St. Charles when you were the assistant. So maybe talk about that relationship.
Yep, so that's where we had first met. We kind of knew each other previously, but yes, we first met when I was the head coach at St. Charles, Minnesota. I was her assistant for, I believe it was 2 to 3 seasons. And then I went off to RCTC, and in the meantime, she had resigned as coaching because she had been a high school coach for 30 plus years, and her daughter at the time had family had moved, were older, and they were in college. And so, so then when I was at RCTC, she kind of volunteered coach, or would come into the matches and get me little pointers like, Amber, why are you doing this? Or why aren't you doing that? And so ever since I was hired here at St. Mary's, she's kind of been working behind the scenes with recruiting, and she likes to do all the fun stuff, you could say, the T-shirts and all the stuff that maybe I'm not the greatest at doing and stuff like that. So but she's going to be a great asset and a great role model for these ladies.
Good. Division III, this is as a head coach, this is your first go around. What's been the biggest challenge for you personally taking over this program?
The biggest challenge probably is just learning the MIAC conference a little bit. The Division III versus the NJCA, really how I run the program isn't any differently. The ladies still have, they're still academic minded, they're still goal oriented for being very successful on the court, but just learning the MIAC and just the little ins and outs of how things are working and that kind of stuff.
And how about from a recruitment standpoint? Obviously, you had to do that at RCTC as well, and so now you're just doing it for St. Mary's. Does that change much at all? Maybe caliber of players, or I'm not quite sure what the differences would be.
The caliber of players maybe are a little bit different, but I was recruiting a lot of players that should have came to St. Mary's, I ended up getting them at RCTC. Sure. So it's fun to be back in this area because a lot of my high school coaching connections are in the southeastern Minnesota or western part of Iowa or northern western Wisconsin, or northern Iowa. So those connections are still there. I mean, the goal is, why aren't those better athletes coming here? We're very successful academically, and we're in the toughest conference in Division III. So I'm very excited.
She stole my question.
Well,
what I was going to say was I think volleyball at St. Mary's has really proven that southeastern Minnesota has outstanding volleyball players. You look at, you look at when Coach Lester was here, when Coach Keeker was here. Now when you're here, the southeastern Minnesota really is a big part of our roster, and the one really that stands out that you brought in, Peyton Berg from Chatfield. You have another individual from Chatfield. So you've got McNally from Lewiston, and so I think you're proving that the talent is here. You just have to go find it. I mean, southeastern Minnesota is good volleyball country.
Agreed, Donnie, and you're correct. Just going out and find it and making those connections, and so people know where you're at. And the word of mouth is huge. Word of mouth is huge also. So.
Hey, southeastern Minnesota, here's the place to go.
Yeah, this is where you need to come.
And we'll talk about some of these individual players in a little bit, but first let's start out with kind of the macro view of how your season has started. You're 3-1.
Yeah.
You beat Marion and Bethany Lutheran and Buena Vista. Tough 3-2 loss to Grinnell that went right down to the wire.
That was tough.
So it could easily be 4-0, but I think you'll take 3-1. So kind of tell us how the season has started and what you're seeing so far as a team.
Yeah, so I, like I said, I'm very, very excited. Started out playing Marion on Friday. We are a young team. We are playing 4 freshmen, but yet we still have the veterans still on the team too. There were a lot of nerves at first against Marion, so it was good to have that match first. But then we came out and played Grinnell, and we did make against Grinnell. You could say some ding-dong mistakes in there, but that's why we go into these tournaments. We're there to learn and to get better. And then again, we had a late night because we had a travel later on Friday evening, and then Saturday coming and playing Bethany Lutheran was another great warm-up match for us. We started off a little slow, but again came from behind to win that third set, and same with Buena Vista. That was a great match for us. Again, what I've learned from this group is we were behind 20-24 and still came from behind in that Buena Vista first set. I mean, these ladies aren't giving up; they're fighting, and that's just also the caliber of athletes that we have here too.
We had mentioned in the first segment about the weekends and getting a chance to be away from campus as a group. Can you kind of talk to us about that from your standpoint?
Yeah, so I would agree. Getting away from campus, and so you're on that bus, you're team bonding, and they don't even know that they're team bonding per se, and having to hang out together out in the gym and communicate with each other, going into the hotel and just hanging out together is a great opportunity to do those small team bonding things that you don't really even have to set time aside to do. It just happens on its own. So it's great to just get away. Now I don't like how much we're getting away this fall, but we're getting away, for those team bonding opportunities.
Do you have a home match? Oh, you do on
Next
September
Wednesday.
13th.
Yeah,
September
on Tuesday.
13th.
Yes, on Tuesday. Yeah.
As long as we're talking about the schedule and conference-wise, there's just no control. You have what you have.
Yeah,
but you go to these tournaments, one to test yourself, as in this weekend against Stevens Point will be a huge test. This year is kind of an oddity in that you're going to be at 3 different tournaments, but yet you'll face 3 of the same teams. So you'll play Marion again this weekend, and then down the road you still have Buena Vista again and Grinnell again.
Yep.
Is that good, bad, indifferent? It's really out of your control, but talk a little bit about having to play that same team again.
Yeah, Marion maybe is okay to play on Saturday. Not saying they're easy. Like we still have to come out and show up for them. I'm excited to get Grinnell again because we can get them, and then Buena Vista. It's going to be a great match either way. And he's also a new coach, so we're kind of in the same boat as scheduling wise, and seeing each other and visiting with him. He's just a great guy too.
So as we kind of take a look at the roster now, I said we talk about some of the individual players, and just 2 seniors on the team. Am I seeing that right? You've got Mandy, you've got Elise.
And Larkin.
And Larkin there, okay, yeah.
And you could kind of say Braden is too because this is her last season because she's going to PA school.
Yep. So from that standpoint, you've got great senior leadership.
Yes.
Not a lot of seniors,
No.
but they're strong,
Right.
and they're kind of set the tone for everybody else, right?
Yeah. So those 3 have been amazing with their leadership and their guidance for these freshmen coming in, even the sophomores and juniors. And those ladies have already they bought into the culture I'm trying to create, the relationship building, the communication, and from day one, they took those freshmen under their wing and they've showed them around, helped them out with classes, given them any type of guidance that is necessary and possible. And they've kind of reacted to how I'm reacting. We're staying calm. We're not going to get stressed when we're in stressful situations. They're listening. They're doing whatever they can to be successful.
You know, I had asked you what your biggest challenge was as the first-year head coach. What's their biggest challenge with you as the head coach? Because there's an adjustment there. It doesn't matter who it is. It could be me. It doesn't matter. There's going to be an adjustment period. What do you see has been their biggest
Probably
challenge?
just my reaction to things, how I'm going to react to different things. I am, in my younger years, I was flamboyant, and but now as I've, gotten, in my older years, for many years of coaching, I'm more calm. My big thing is, why sweat the small stuff, right? So let's not make a big deal about the little things, but the expectation is to, if I tell you to do something, strategy-wise, it's expected to be done, and this team did amazing. And first weekend, going out and doing that right away, that's just, that doesn't happen all the time.
And she's not kidding about that. Don't sweat the small stuff, because this weekend was pretty crazy in that because of COVID, Central couldn't host the second day of this tournament, so they ended up having to go back to Grinnell to play. They weren't going to be able to do stats for him, so I had to have her do stats on the bench, which is old school.
Old school, yes.
But yet, her comment to me was, "Don't sweat the small stuff. We'll get it done and get it taken care of," and which really was a breath of fresh air, because so many times you'd be stressed or you'd be, oh my God, this is going to happen. But it was just like, we'll just get it done. So she's not kidding.
Our hotel was in the town where Central is located, so we had to, we couldn't get a hotel in Grinnell. So after we played, then we had to drive 45 minutes to go stay, team bonding, per se. And then the next morning, get up a little bit early and travel back over to Grinnell, Iowa. But like they adapted well. They were 2-0 on Saturday, so after playing a tough round on Friday night. So.
Donny brought up the transition thing. I think that's such a big aspect anytime you're going from one head coach to another. How did you approach that with the athletes to try to make that transition go a little bit more smoothly, which it obviously has?
Yep, so I did a lot of listening to them. I got together with the upperclassmen, and we just kind of sat down and visited and talked, and things they wanted to change or things that I wanted to do differently. And what's really probably different with me is I'm a huge relationship builder. I want to get to know those athletes, but I'm open communication. I want to know what they're feeling, what they're seeing on the volleyball court, and we can't stress a lot. We can't all be successful unless we all work together, and that's including even you guys, to our athletic training staff, to our strength and conditioning coach, and we all have to have that just open communication, and things are going to be successful. It's worked for me in the past, and they bought into what I'm trying to create here, and it's fun to see.
How about from a playing time standpoint too? Did you rely a lot on last year's stats? Was it a clean slate for everybody, and you just wanted your eyes on it to see the type of rotation you wanted to do?
Yep. So I went in this preseason with a clean slate. It was an open book. Anybody had a chance. And it's been communicated to them with that. And does this starting lineup that's happening now going to stay the whole time? No. And those athletes know that. And those reserves that aren't in, they understand. They know their role. And we have such an open conversation. I'm very honest with them. There's nothing to hide. I have no secrets. So why not just open book it to them?
Yeah.
And I did tell you we just go off the cuff with these questions. So I'm curious, because you have been coaching for a long time, what has been the biggest change in the game? Not in how you coach it, but what's been the biggest change in the game itself, aside from side outs? Because, man, that was the best change they ever could have made.
Because it makes the game faster. Well, right now the serve and pass game is huge. So we had, I think we averaged 3.14 aces per set, I believe it was, Donnie. So we do a lot of mental training with the serving aspect, and then the first ball contact, so serve, receive, and that kind of thing. Also, the mental aspect and the psychology part of it is really, you have to really dive in and delve into that. So we do a lot of team talks and videos and that kind of things about the mental training.
And you're running two setters. Which is that normal?
No, to be honest, that's not my favorite thing to do. I'd rather run the one setter, but these two setters have put in so much time and work, and they both deserve to be out there. They're such great leaders, and they both do an amazing job.
Well, Amber, time for just one more question from each of us. From me, have you set goals with the team as you look ahead now to the start of the conference season? You've got Augsburg. That'll be the first conference game on Tuesday. But, after that, towards the end of the season, it's pretty much all MIAC action. Have you talked to them about some aspirations for this year?
Yep. So we've talked about our goals, and obviously a big one is making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we can, as long as they continue to buy into our culture. And I keep repeating myself, but it's huge, the relationship building, the communication. As long as they do that and they're listening, anything could happen with this team. Obviously, we want to continue to do well with our ace serves is another aspect, and then staying healthy and keeping those relationships and open communication with each other, being honest with each other.
Donnie?
That was so serious.
Being a native, well, you can ask her a fun question.
Being a native Minnesotan, and the State Fair did just end.
Okay.
What's your favorite food from the State Fair?
I like the cookies.
Oh, that's so easy.
I know it's so easy.
Yeah, how about your favorite deep fried food?
Deep fried, well, I always like the deep fried thing.
The pickles
are popular. Pickles are popular, or the cheese curds, because I'm so busy in the summer, I don't know when the last time I was at the State Fair. I think it was 5 years ago. It's usually because that's coaching season, so I'm there. But just getting the cheese curds and the cookies and just trying some different things.
Have I mentioned I haven't eaten yet?
Actually, that was one of the reasons, Dean.
So, all right, Amber Zitzow, our new head volleyball coach here at St. Mary's. Thanks for joining us, and good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you.
And that's going to do it for this edition of the Cardinals Nest. We can't end, though, without thanking our new producer this season, A.J. Ruskowski, who's a sophomore on the men's hockey team. He's also our multimedia lab manager this year, so he's producing all of the shows. So if we look good, you can thank A.J. for that.
In season, he's a goalie that makes a save for the Cardinals. Out of season, he's the guy who saves our bacon.
Very nice. I can see that's going to be woven into your first story on the men's hockey team this year. All right, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week.